Martin Scorsese, Spike Lee, De Palma, Coppola, Ridley Scott, they all have one thing in common. They went to film school. But you really need to spend a lot of money on film school to make movies? Just take a look at Kubrick, Tarantino, Hitchcock, Nolan, Godard, Fellini, all great filmmakers who never went to film school. What you need is the desire, the determination to begin and pick up a camera, even a phone, it doesn't matter. I understand that when you first start, it's easy to get overwhelmed by this mountain of information and think it's too complicated, even pointless to even start. But what you really need is a step-by-step guide, someone telling you what you need to know, like in film school. I've been in the same position, not knowing where to start, where to turn my head. I didn't know what I needed to know. With this video, I'm not gonna teach you all the art of filmmaking in just a few minutes, but I'll provide you with a simple, clear path, a simple guide on what you should study to finally pick up that camera and make your art. I'll break this video in various parts with their subtopics, which I will explain briefly, and then point you to some other videos that go into more details, which I'll link in the description. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Alex, a 17-year-old filmmaker from Italy.
Let's go!
Writing is the essential phase of filmmaking. Without a great story, your film, no matter how visually stunning, won't leave an impact on the audience and will be forgotten. Remember that first, a film is a narrative art form, then a visual art form. So firstly, you need to focus on developing the narrative aspect. Before I recommend some videos or some channels, I want you to learn the script writing technique, which has its own formats, rules, fonts, sizes, and I suggest you to dive deeper into this video by Studio Binder, a channel I refer often in this video. After that, it's time for the fun part, writing the story. While screenwriting is simpler than literary prose writing, the principles, the fundamentals are the same. In the end, you're still writing a story. We can talk for hours how to write a good story, but I recommend you some channels of some very talented people that write screenwriting and also literary writing. The next step after writing the script is the pre-production phase. This is where you start to develop the visual part of your story. It's an essential phase, often overlooked. The more you will focus and work on this phase, the more smoother and easier will be the actual production. Pre-production has two parts. The more personal visual development part, where you start thinking about the visual part of your film, and a more, let's call it, social aspect, where you have to cast people, you have to find location, you have to find your crew. Let's start with the personal part. After writing the script, you need two documents: the shotlist and the storyboard. A shotlist is where you write down all the shots you'll need. To create a rhythm and effective shots, I recommend these videos. First, check out these 4 videos by Studio Binder, where they discuss shot sizes, camera angles, camera movements, and compositional rules. They're theoretical videos, breaking down every possible choice you can make, but it's up to you to decide what you need and when. So for choosing your shots, I recommend 2 videos. The first talks about coverage, which is closely tied to the production phase, explaining how to film a scene, which angles to use, and so on. The second video is analysis of the opening scene from Inglourious Basterds, where you can learn and see the various shot sizes, angle, composition, applied by Tarantino himself. After you completed the shot list, you need to make the storyboard, which is like a visual representation of the shot list, like a comic, for example. This helps you see really what's the style of your film, and especially helps your crew to understand what you want. I'm linking a video that explains how to create a storyboard clearly and simply. Now let's move on to the more social aspect of the pre-production. First, start finding your crew. On an amateur set, I don't recommend having too much people, but a role I really recommend to you is a boom operator or a sound guy. Trust me, as a director, maybe you can stand behind the camera but not checking the sound. It will pull all your attention out of the scene. I'll talk about video and audio recording in the production phase, not now. Next, you need to find your actors. I've made a video on this subject where I explain how to get actors for little or no cost. Finally, there is the location scouting. My advice is to search in your local area for private properties Maybe if you know the owners is better. It's far more user than renting, because renting is really expensive, and maybe something that if you're starting out, it's not really an option. I'm linking a video on location scouting down below. After you got your script, your storyboard, your shot list, your actors, your crew, your location, we finally move on to the part we all dream about, the production phase. This phase is divided into 3 major areas you need to study in depth: video, audio and lighting. For video, you have of course to learn all about the gear you have, whether it's a phone, a professional camera or big cinema camera. All video capture system works the same way, adjusting a few parameters that modifies how the camera sees: aperture, shutter speed or angle, and ISO settings. Very technical stuff that I won't explain here, but I link videos that go into more detail. For audio, as I mentioned earlier, I recommend you hiring someone, or even take a friend and train him to do a boom operator or a sound guy. Even though audio is simple, there are still many things to consider, and I link a video that explains it all into more detail. Finally, there is lighting, something many amateurs underrates because it seems expensive and very hard, but it really isn't. There's a whole world on cinematography which I strongly encourage you to dive into because it's beautiful. For starting, I'm linking a video that talks about lighting in a very practical way, which will help you understand the basics. After recording everything, there is the final phase, the post-production. Before starting, I recommend you to learn about Davinci Resolve, a free and powerful editing software. I'm linking a great tutorial for that. After you learn the software, let's move on to the cinematic editing. The first video I suggest you talks about a book by a famous film editor that explains when and where to make cuts. After you dive into that, and I recommend many more videos, it's time for the audio, which is often underrated by beginners but it's essential. A regular viewer might forgive amateur video but not amateur audio. The truth is that audio needs to be at the level of major production to be appreciated, but not be scared. It's not really that hard to achieve, but you have to learn sound design, which means enhancing the video in the post-production phase, adding ambient sounds and more. I'm linking a video that explains this in detail. The final step in post-production is color grading, the process that turns a regular image into a work of art, and I will link an in-depth guide to this in the description. If you made it this far, now you know what you need to be a filmmaker. Of course, the video I've mentioned won't teach you everything, but they're a great starting point for diving deeper. Remember that the only thing separating you from your goals is knowledge. And I hope this video, this guide, will help you to make that extra step towards your dream. Now it's your turn. I want you to go into the description and watch all the videos in order and start learning about filmmaking. Finally, if you're interested, watch some of my work. If not, I'll see you in the next one.